Questions. My dear friends, today I want to begin with a simple question. At what age does success expire? 20, 40, 60? Is it like milk, where after a certain date you must throw it away? Questions. If success had an expiry date, then Colonel Sanders should have stopped frying chicken at the age of 60. If success had a fixed age, then Grandma Moses, who started painting at 78, questions, should have retired before she even discovered her brush. If success required youth, then Gandhi should have stayed home because his most powerful movements began much later in life. Questions. So if anyone ever told you you're too old or it's too late, I want you to smile and say, I'm not late, I'm just starting on time. Let me share a small story. Questions. One day a young man came to me and said, Guruji, I feel stuck, I feel behind. Everyone around me is achieving things so fast. What should I do? I told him, questions. Just like your phone needs daily charging, your life also needs daily upgrading. The problem is, we compare our chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20. Questions. We forget that the bamboo tree stays underground for 5 years and then grows 90 feet in 6 weeks. So if you don't see instant success, don't panic. You're not failing. Questions. You're forming roots. The question is not how fast am I growing. The real question is, am I growing at all? You see, age doesn't define your capability. Age only defines your timeline. Questions. Not your potential. If you're young, you have energy. If you're old, you have experience. If you're somewhere in the middle, you have both panic and confusion. But even that is useful. Questions. We all have something to offer at every age. The world doesn't ask, how old are you? The world asks, what can you give? The day you stop growing, T8 day, you become old. Questions. As long as you are learning, improving, and evolving, you remain evergreen, ever energetic, ever successful. Imagine brushing your teeth only once a year. Not a good idea, right? Question sucks the same way. Success is not achieved in a single explosion. It is built in small daily sparks, 1 page a day, 1 workout a day, 1 skill a day, 1 step a day. Questions. We don't become successful when we reach the top. We become successful by climbing every day, even when no one is watching. Remember, people celebrate your performance. Life celebrates your process. Questions. Focus on the process. A retired man once told me, Gaur Gopal Das ji, my time is gone. I said, sir, the only thing that should go is your limiting belief. He laughed and asked, questions. How do I start again at this age? I replied, just like a sunrise, quietly, consistently, beautifully. The sunrise does not complain. Questions. Yesterday people didn't appreciate me, so today I won't rise. It rises because that is its nature. Similarly, we must rise every day, not because the world praises us, questions, but because growth is our nature. You know, life is very generous. Every morning it whispers, try again, but you may fail at 20, you may fail at 40, you may fail at 70. Questions. But life never removes the try again option from your menu. The only problem is we stop selecting it. Questions. We often say, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm too busy, I'm too tired. We are all too something. But the truth is, my friends, you can make progress, questions, or you can make excuses. You just can't make both. Instead of saying, I don't have time, start saying, let me create time. Instead of saying, I don't know how, say, questions, let me learn how. Instead of saying, I am behind, say, let me begin. Because every time you build yourself, life builds a new opportunity for you. Questions. People chase success like chasing butterflies. But the moment you stop and grow a garden, butterflies automatically come. Success is attracted to questions. Then discipline as skills, pay attitude, honesty, pan, consistency, a good character. So don't run after success. Become the kind of person success runs after. Whether you are 1636 questions or 76, your dreams don't expire. Your growth doesn't expire. Your capacity doesn't expire. What expires? Only your willingness to try. Let me tell you, if you are breathing, questions, you are still becoming. If you are learning, you are still living. If you are trying, you are still winning. Every day, take one step, just one. Because one step a day is 365 steps in a year. Questions. And you cannot imagine how far that can take you. My friends, success has no age. Greatness has no deadline. Dreams have no retirement plan. Questions. The only requirement is for you to build yourself every single day. Improve a little, try a little, learn a little, grow a little. And one day, questions. Without even realizing it, you will stand exactly where you once dreamed of standing. So don't wait for the perfect age. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start now. Start today. Questions. Start with whatever you have, because the best moment to build yourself is always now. You. Questions. Success is not like a carton of milk that spoils if you don't open it in time. It's not like a train that leaves the station once and never returns. Questions. Success is more like the sunrise. No matter how dark the night, it always comes again, offering another chance, another beginning, another possibility. Questions. The idea that I am too late, I am too old, or that time is gone is not a truth, it's just a thought. And thoughts can be changed. Think about a seed. Questions. If you plant a seed at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., it doesn't say, sorry, I grow only in the morning. It grows when it is planted. Similarly, success doesn't ask, what age are you? It only asks questions. Are you ready to grow? Take a simple, everyday example, learning to drive. Some people learn at 18 and feel like champions. Some learn at 40 and feel nervous. Questions. Some learn at 660 and feel excited and alive. But the road doesn't discriminate. When you sit behind the steering wheel, the car doesn't check your birth certificate. Questions. It only checks whether you can press the accelerator and steer with confidence. Life is similar. It doesn't judge you by age. It looks at your willingness. Questions. We often put pressure on ourselves because the world gives us imaginary timelines. Finish your education by 22. Get a job by 25. Get married by 28. Questions. Become successful by 30. If you cross any of these deadlines, suddenly you feel like you're failing. But who made these rules? And more importantly, who said you must follow them? Questions. Let's take an example from daily life. Have you ever watched a pressure cooker whistle? Some whistle early, after 3 minutes. Some whistle later, after 10. Questions. But the rice inside gets cooked perfectly in its own time. Life is like a pressure cooker. Everyone whistles at their own time. Some people achieve early, some later. Questions. But late achievement is not a failure. It's simply cooking at the right temperature. Questions. Think about a friend you may know who learned something new much later in life. A mother who learned to use a smartphone after 50. A father who learned to exercise after 45. Questions. A grandmother who learned WhatsApp at 70. When they learned it, did age matter? What mattered was their desire to grow and adapt. Success works the same way. Questions. One of the biggest myths we fall for is comparing our journey with others. We look at someone who became successful at 20 and think, questions, I'm too late. But what we forget is that we have also done countless things they haven't. You may be late in one area, but you are early in another. You may be behind someone, questions, but ahead of someone else. Life is not a race where everyone starts at the same point. It's more like a marathon where everyone begins when they are ready. Think of the famous Colonel Sanders. At 65, questions. Most people think about retirement, but he started KFC at 65. Imagine if he had said, I'm too old to start now. Today, billions enjoy the taste of his recipe. Not because he was young, questions, but because he did not give up when he was old. Or take the example of your daily household. Sometimes a tap leaks for months and no one fixes it because everyone says, questions, I'll do it later. But the day someone finally picks up the wrench and tightens it, the problem disappears in 2 minutes. The tap didn't need youth. It needed action. Questions. The same applies to life. Your dreams don't need you to be young. They need you to start. Imagine you want to start reading books. Whether you're 18 or 70, questions. The book doesn't become easier or harder. The only difference is your willingness to turn the first page. Learning to cook, learning to dance, starting a business, repairing relationships, questions, building your health. None of these need a particular age. They only need a decision. Let me give you a more relatable example. Think about plants in your home. If you water a plant after 2 days, questions, it grows. If you water after 10 days, it grows slowly. But if you start watering it again after 2 months, even then, sometimes the plant surprises you. A small green leaf appears, telling you, questions, I'm still alive, I can still grow. Humans are like that plant. You might have paused for months, even years, but the moment you decide to water your dreams, again, new life appears. Questions. Your age is never the problem. Your belief about your age is the only problem. Even your phone receives updates no matter how old it is. Why? Because the company knows improvement is always possible. Questions. If phones can update at any age, why can't we? Remember this, the day you stop believing in your growth is the day you grow old. But as long as you are learning, trying, questions, improving even a little, you remain young, powerful, and full of possibility. So whether you are 16 or 60, remind yourself every morning, I am not late. Questions. I am right on time for my life. Success does not belong to the young. Success does not belong to the old. Success belongs to the willing. As long as you are willing, questions, your success story can begin anytime. Even today, questions. In a world that celebrates speed, fast cars, fast internet, fast success, we sometimes forget that real greatness grows slowly. Not because it is weak, questions, but because it is building something strong beneath the surface. If a building needs to go very high, its foundation must go very deep. The same rule applies to human life. The higher you wish to rise, questions, the deeper your roots must be. And roots never grow in public. They grow quietly, patiently, and invisibly. Have you ever noticed how long it takes for a mango tree to grow? You plant a seed, questions, water it, care for it, protect it, and still, for months, you see almost nothing. Meanwhile, a simple weed grows faster than your mango plant. In just a few days, it looks tall and proud, questions, as if it's winning. But a weed has no strength, no depth, no foundation. A small wind can uproot it. But the mango tree that took longer to grow, it stands firm, it becomes strong, questions, and it eventually gives delicious fruits for decades. This is exactly how life works. Some people rise quickly and others take time. But time taken for growth is never wasted. Questions. Slow growth is not failure, it is preparation. Think about daily life examples. When you cook rice, you cannot hurry it by shouting at the cooker. When the rice is raw, it's raw. Questions. It won't listen to your frustration. It won't respond to your impatience. It softens when it's ready. Similarly, you soften, strengthen, questions, and shine when you are ready, not when the world demands it. Let's take another example, learning to balance on a bicycle. You don't start racing on the first day. First, you wobble, fall, questions, get bruised, get up, try again, and after many attempts, balance becomes natural. But imagine if you could, because you didn't master it in 5 minutes. Today, questions, you wouldn't be able to enjoy a beautiful evening ride. Growth takes time, and the process is often messy, but it builds mastery. We often compare ourselves with people who seem to be faster. Questions. Someone got a job quicker, someone became successful earlier, someone bought a house sooner, someone achieved fame overnight. But what we forget is that each person's soil is different. Questions. Each person's weather is different. Each person's season is different. A flower does not bloom by comparing itself to other flowers. It blooms by trusting its time. Imagine a child in school. Questions. Some kids solve math problems quickly, while others take time. Does that make the slower child less intelligent? Absolutely not. Because later, that same slow child may become a brilliant artist. Questions, a skilled teacher, a compassionate leader. Gifts that require depth, not speed. Speed is a temporary advantage. Growth is a permanent strength. Even in your kitchen, you see this principle. Questions. You can microwave instant noodles in 2 minutes, but do they nourish you the way slow cooked food does? The best dishes in the world are slow cooked, full of depth, flavor, richness, and aroma. Why? Questions. Because time creates taste, and in life, time creates character. When you find yourself growing slowly, remind yourself slow growth builds deep strength. Quick success builds weak confidence. Questions. Let's talk about the famous Chinese bamboo tree. For the first 5 years, you water it, nurture it, protect it, and nothing happens. No sprout, no leaf, not even a hint of life. Questions. But in the 6th year, something magical happens. It grows almost 90 feet in 6 weeks. Now people say, wow, it grew so fast. But did it really grow in 6 weeks? No, it grew in 6 years. Questions. 5 years underground, strengthening its roots, and 6 weeks above ground, showing its greatness. Many people give up during their underground years. They stop right before their breakthrough. Questions. Not because they lack talent, but because they confuse slow progress with no progress. Think about how long it took you to learn basic habits. You didn't learn how to speak in 1 day. Questions. You learned word by word, sound by sound. You didn't learn how to walk in 1 moment. You fell 100 times but stood 101. That was growth, not speed. Questions. Life is not asking you to be fast. Life is asking you to be consistent. If you're learning a new skill, you'll be slow initially. That's natural. If you're starting a business, questions. The early months may be confusing. That's normal. If you're improving your health, results will take time. That's expected. Don't quit because growth is invisible. Roots grow in silence. Questions. Fruits appear later. Think of your phone again. Even the fastest phone takes time to charge. It cannot jump from 1% to 100% instantly. It needs time to build energy. Questions. You also need time to build strength. When you rush, you break. When you grow slowly, you build. So don't let the world's pace decide your progress. Questions. Just because someone reached earlier doesn't mean you're late. Just because you're not fast doesn't mean you're not capable. A river doesn't stop because the journey is long. Questions. It flows at its pace, carves mountains, shapes landscapes, and reaches its destination with grace, not speed. Growth asks for patience. Speed asks for pressure. Choose patience. 1 day. Questions. People will look at you and say, you grew so fast. But only you will know how deeply your roots were growing all along. So trust your journey. Trust your timing. Trust your growth. Questions. Because in the end, it's not the fastest who wins. It's the one who grows the strongest. Questions. Age is one of the most misunderstood numbers in the world. We use it to measure everything: eligibility, maturity, potential, limitations. But in reality, questions. Age only tells us how long we've lived, not how much we can still do. It tells us the count of our years, not the capacity of our abilities. We often let age decide whether we should start, questions, continue, or stop something. But life doesn't look at age, the human mind does. And thankfully, the human mind can be trained. Think of a simple example from daily life: slippers. Questions. Your old slippers may be worn out, but they are still the most comfortable, right? You don't throw them away because they are old. You keep them because they still serve you well. Likewise, questions. Your age may increase, but your service to life, your abilities, your talents, your passion, they don't expire. They become more refined, more comfortable, more effective. Questions. Consider life in your kitchen. A pressure cooker that has been used for 10 years cooks better than a brand new one. Why? Because experience improves performance. Questions. Some utensils in your home have been around for decades, and they still work beautifully. Age didn't reduce their usefulness, it enhanced it. Just like that, your abilities don't weaken with age. Questions. They gain flavor, strength, and depth. We've all seen young children who can sing beautifully, dance effortlessly, or learn smartphones faster than adults. Questions. Just because they're young doesn't mean they're inexperienced. And similarly, older people may pick up new skills faster because they have discipline and patience. Questions. Talent does not belong to a particular age. Neither does intelligence, creativity, or ambition. Let's take the very common example of learning a smartphone. For a teenager, questions. It's easy. They swipe, tap, and master it within minutes. But think about a grandmother who takes it in her hands and tries to learn. She may take a little longer. Questions. But eventually she learns everything. WhatsApp, video calls, online shopping. And when she finally does, her joy is greater than the teenagers. Why? Because she overcame her fear, not her age. Questions. Her ability wasn't limited by her years, it was limited by her belief. Now imagine something simple from daily routines, going for a morning walk. A 20-year-old may run 5 kilometers. Questions. But an older person who walks 1 kilometer consistently may live a healthier life. Not because they are younger or older, but because they have discipline. Questions. Age didn't make one healthier, habits did. Age didn't make one stronger, commitment did. Even in nature, you see this truth everywhere. A small plant and an old tree both have value. Questions. The small plant gives beauty and freshness, while the old tree gives shade, oxygen, and fruits. The world needs both. Your value does not decrease because your age increases. In fact, questions. Your value often becomes more meaningful as your experiences grow. Look at daily life in your home. When something breaks, say a switchboard, a pipe, questions, or a kitchen shelf, who fixes it with the most confidence? Usually someone older, not someone younger. Because age brings understanding, understanding brings skill, and skill brings ease. Questions. Your years simply give you wisdom, not weakness. Even learning new things doesn't depend on age. Have you ever noticed how young children learn to walk? They fall hundreds of times. Questions. But they don't say, I'm too young to walk. They keep trying. Adults, on the other hand, often say, I'm too old to start. Who taught us that? Not life. Society did. Questions. Life says keep trying. Society says stop trying. Whom you listen to defines your ability. Think about driving a car. A 50-year-old learning to drive might be more careful, more calm. Questions. More aware than a 20-year-old. Age didn't reduce their ability, it improved their mindfulness. We must stop thinking ability belongs to youth and limitations belong to age. Questions. Ability belongs to effort, not years. Let me give you a simple emotional example. When a child falls, who picks them up first? Parents or grandparents? And who encourages them more? Often, questions. Grandparents. Why? Because they've lived long enough to understand failure is temporary. Their ability to guide doesn't decrease with age, it increases. Even technology proves this. Questions. Your phone may be 5 years old, but with updates it can still work amazingly well. Similarly, as long as you keep updating yourself, learning, adapting, growing, your abilities stay sharp. Questions. Age doesn't slow you down, stopping your growth does. Age is only a number, like the number of pages in a book. What matters is how meaningful the story is, not how long the book is. Questions. Some people write an extraordinary story in a few years. Some write masterpieces after decades. No book becomes useless just it has more pages. Questions. And no person becomes less capable because they have more years. Look around in your own life. You may know someone who started a business at 50, someone who began exercising at 60. Questions. Someone who learned to ride a scooter at 40. Someone who started pursuing a dream at 30. They didn't wait for the world to tell them it was the right age. They simply believed it was the right time. Questions. and that belief made their ability shine. Your age is simply a record of time, not a record of power. Nothing in your brain shuts down after a certain birthday. Questions. Nothing in your heart stops dreaming because the calendar changes. You can be young at 70 and old at 25. It all depends on your mindset. So remember, age defines how long you've lived. Questions. But it does not define what you can still achieve. Your abilities are not tied to the year you were born. They are tied to the courage you carry, the effort you make, the dreams you nurture. Questions. And the willingness you show every day. The world may count your years, but only you can measure your potential. And the truth is, your potential has no age. Questions. Success is not created in a single moment. It is created in the invisible hours of daily discipline. Questions. It is not the big actions you take once in a while. It is the small actions you take every single day. Just like water dripping on a stone eventually makes a dent. Questions. Small habits shape the destiny of your life. People often look at successful individuals and admire their achievements, but they rarely notice the tiny, consistent habits behind those achievements. Questions. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't brush once a year and hope for healthy teeth, right? You brush every day, even on days when you're tired, sleepy, or busy. Why? Questions. Because you know skipping it has consequences. But in life, we often skip the habits that build our mind, our skills, our character, simply because the consequences are not immediately visible. Questions. You can skip reading one day and nothing bad happens. You can skip exercise one day and you don't feel different. But skip it for a month and you'll see the change. Questions. Daily habits are like invisible builders. You don't see them working in the background, but they are constructing your future brick by brick. Take a simple example from your kitchen. Questions. When you prepare tea, you add water, tea leaves, milk, and sugar. But you never expect the tea to boil instantly. You give it a time. The heat works slowly but consistently. And gradually. Questions. The aroma spreads, the flavor develops, and the tea becomes perfect. If you turn the stove on and off repeatedly, the tea will never boil. But a steady flame creates the result. Likewise. Questions. Your daily habits are the steady flame of your life. Imagine someone learning a musical instrument, say a guitar. If they practice for 5 hours on one day and then don't touch it for a month, questions, they won't progress. But if they practice for just 15 minutes every day, slowly their fingers grow stronger, their rhythm improves, and the music begins to flow naturally. Questions. This is the magic of daily consistency. Daily habits don't have to be huge. Even tiny habits can create tremendous long-term impact. Think of a piggy bank. Questions. You drop one coin a day, it's nothing big. But after a year, you have something meaningful saved. Not because you added a large amount, but because you added a small amount consistently. Similarly, questions. Adding small amounts of effort, reading 10 pages, walking for 10 minutes, meditating for 5 minutes, practicing your talent for 15 minutes, creates results beyond imagination. Questions. Now consider the way you maintain your home. If you clean a little bit every day, the house remains neat. But if you ignore it for a month, the mess becomes overwhelming. Habits work the same way. Questions. Taking care of things daily keeps life manageable. Ignoring them makes life chaotic. Even nature shows us this principle. A river doesn't carve mountains by force. Questions. It carves them through consistent flow. Drops of water shape rocks not through strength, but through persistence. You don't need to be powerful. You need to be consistent. Questions. Daily habits create a rhythm for your life. That rhythm becomes momentum. Momentum becomes growth. Growth becomes transformation. Let's look at a relatable example. Fitness. Questions. You don't need to lift heavy weights on the first day. Start with simple walks. Walk every day. Even if it's 10 minutes, do it daily. Over months, your stamina increases. Your body feels better. Questions. Your mind becomes clearer. But if you walk once a month and expect to become fit, it won't work. Fitness is not built in one intense session. It's built in everyday actions. Questions. The same goes for mental health. Spending even 5 minutes every day praying, meditating, or sitting quietly can transform your emotional strength. Questions. One peaceful moment daily trains your mind to stay balanced. But if you wait for a crisis to practice calmness, you will feel overwhelmed. In your workplace too, daily habits matter. Questions. A person who reads a little daily, improves their skills daily, works sincerely daily, will always surpass the person who works randomly with bursts of energy. Questions. Slow and steady is not a cliché, it's a formula. We must understand that motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going. On days when you don't feel motivated, your habits will carry you. Questions. For example, you may not feel motivated to study, but if studying for 30 minutes daily is a habit, you will do it anyway. Once something becomes a habit, it stops depending on mood. Questions. Daily habits also create identity. When you read every day, you begin to see yourself as a reader. When you exercise daily, you see yourself as someone who values health. Questions. When you work on your dream daily, you see yourself as a committed person. And once your identity changes, your actions naturally follow. Think about your plants at home. Questions. They need a little water every day. If you pour a bucket of water once a month, thinking it will compensate, the plant will not survive. Consistency nourishes. Excess without consistency destroys. Questions. Life is the same. Success is not about big moments. Success is hidden in the little choices you make each day. Choosing to wake up on time, choosing to learn something new. Questions. Choosing to practice your skills, choosing to take care of yourself. Daily habits are the quiet heroes of life. They don't make noise, but they create magic. They don't show results instantly. Questions. But they guarantee results eventually. So remember, even if you are growing slowly, even if your steps are small, even if your progress is silent, keep going. Questions. Because small steps taken every day lead to big success one day. Your future is not shaped by what you do sometimes. Your future is shaped by what you do every single day. Questions. Life does not reward the smartest, the richest, or even the most talented. It rewards the person with the right attitude. Attitude is that invisible force that decides how high you rise. Questions. How far you go and how strongly you stand when life pushes you down. Two people can be in the same situation, but their attitude can create completely different outcomes. One sees opportunity, questions. The other sees obstacle. One sees possibility, the other sees problem. The situation is the same. What changes is the mindset. Think about a simple daily example, morning alarms. When the alarm rings, questions. One person wakes up saying, let's begin the day. Another person hits snooze saying, 5 more minutes. The difference is not the alarm, it's the attitude. Questions. One person sees the morning as a gift, while the other sees it as a burden. Your attitude decides whether your day becomes productive or wasted. Questions. Whether your challenges become stepping stones or roadblocks, consider a cup of tea. If someone gives you a hot cup of tea and you accidentally spill it, you have 2 choices: get angry. Questions. Blame everyone and spoil the moment, or laugh it off, clean it and make another cup. The spill is the same. The reaction is different. And your reaction decides your peace. Questions. Your attitude doesn't change the situation, but it changes you in the situation. Imagine 2 students preparing for an exam. One complains, the syllabus is too big. Questions. I can't do this. The other thinks, let me study 1 chapter at a time. Who will succeed? The one with talent? No, the one with a positive attitude. Because talent helps you start. Questions. But attitude helps you finish. Your attitude decides whether you see effort as tiring or transforming. Let's take an example from the workplace. 2 people receive the same feedback from their boss. Questions. One feels insulted and demotivated. The other takes it as guidance and improves. After a few months, the second person grows, learns, and shines. The first remains stuck. Same feedback, same boss, questions, different attitude. The second person's growth had nothing to do with age, salary, or experience. It had everything to do with mindset. Even in relationships, attitude matters more than words. Questions. A simple "I understand" spoken with warmth can heal misunderstandings faster than hours of argument. A positive attitude creates harmony. A negative attitude creates distance. Questions. The same situation, one person chooses kindness, the other chooses ego. Your attitude decides whether you make relationships better or bitter. Take a situation as simple as weather. On a rainy day, questions. One person complains, "Oh no, it's raining again." Another thinks how wonderful the earth is getting blessed. The rain didn't change, only the perception did. Questions. When you learn to control your attitude, you learn to control your experience of life. Think about a small child learning to walk. When the child falls, does he cry and stop trying? No. He giggles, questions, gets up, and tries again. Because his attitude says if falling is normal, walking is possible. As adults, we forget this. When we fail, we stop. When we face challenges, we doubt ourselves. Questions. But the child's attitude is powerful. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Your attitude decides whether failure becomes your teacher or your excuse. Another daily life example, traffic. Questions. When you're stuck in a jam, you can get angry, irritated, and stressed. Or you can play music, breathe, relax, and accept that some things are not in your control. Questions. Getting angry doesn't make the traffic move faster. But staying calm keeps your mind and health intact. Choosing peace is an attitude. Let's take gardening as an example. When you plant a seed, questions. You don't expect it to grow overnight. You water it, protect it, give it sunlight. But imagine if your attitude was impatient. Why isn't it growing today? You dig it out and destroy it. Questions. But with a patient attitude, you trust the process. And that trust brings results. Life is your garden. Attitude is your sunlight. Your attitude decides whether you quit or cultivate. Questions. Even cooking teaches us this lesson. When something burns while cooking, you can either get frustrated and give up, or you can fix it, start over, and learn from it. Questions. Every good cook has burned something at least once. But their attitude, experimenting, trying, improving, made them better. Your attitude decides whether experiences break you or make you. Questions. Let's look at successful people around us. They are not always the most educated or the most privileged. They are often the ones who never gave up. Their attitude says, challenges may come, questions, but I will keep going. That mindset creates success, because talent may give you an advantage, but attitude gives you victory. And what about your own daily choices? When something goes wrong, questions, you can either curse the situation or find a solution. When someone behaves rudely, you can either become rude or remain calm. When life becomes difficult, questions, you can either feel defeated or decide to fight. Your attitude determines whether you see yourself as a victim or a victor. Even the direction of an airplane depends on a small adjustment in its wings. Questions. Similarly, your life's direction depends on tiny adjustments in your attitude. A shift from complaining to gratitude, from fear to courage, from doubt to faith. Questions. From laziness to discipline. These small shifts change the altitude of your life. Your attitude is your inner compass. It tells you where to go, how to feel, and how high you can rise. Remember, questions. Airplanes take off against the wind, not with it. Life may push you, challenge you, and test you, but with the right attitude, you will rise above everything. Talent is a gift. Success is earned. Questions. An attitude is the force that connects the two. Your altitude, how far you go, how high you rise, will always be determined by your attitude. Choose it wisely, protect it fiercely. Questions. and let it lift you to your greatest version.